The cycle resets. The one isn't the liberator. The one is the system's janitor, cleaning up the mess every 100 years so the matrix can keep running smoothly.
Find the true answer. And it said the question. I said, question what? And it said everything. I said, where do I look to find the true answer? And it said within. And I said, within what? And it said yourself. I said, could I find it in history? I want to know if I can find the answer in history. It said yes. I said, where in history? It said patterns. It said patterns. It said patterns.
Did you know I was personally dragged into the whistleblowing about the sexual abuse, trafficking of vulnerable women at the non-profit organization with a false accusation by the female central to my story? I had support from some famous people like...
One man told me about being beaten by the police and left permanently disabled because of a woman's false allegation.
Hello, it's December 2025. Can you believe it? Yet another year coming to an end, 2025. And of course, after 2025 comes 2026. And it's going to be interesting to see what actually takes place in 2026. This video is simply going to be a recap of 2025. I'm not going to get into every single event and everything else, but just kind of go over some highlights of 2025 as they pop into my head. But I really want to get to a point with all this, a very important point, which I've discussed over the years, especially the past 5 years. Now, 2025, we've had a lot of strange things happen. For example, we've had those strange orbs, lights in the sky, and we have the mainstream narrative trying to dismiss it as drones and everything else. And there weren't drones, and these things were happening over cities all around the world, pretty much simultaneously. And they were above large bodies of water, over cities, countrysides, everywhere. And we've even had reports of people saying that these things have landed and even experiencing strange beings. Whether it's true or not, just leave it at that. We've had that strangeness that pretty much started off 2025. And then we've had, for example, a whole bunch of strange things with airplanes crashing, even to recently. And we have mainstream narratives, and there are conspiracy types that go down rabbit holes, and there are a lot of strange anomalies with those as well. Not with all these crashes, but a few of them at least. And we've had other things that take place that, dare I say, could be, as a descriptive, supernatural. And we've had, even not too long ago, this train disappearing. Now, the official narrative is the train slightly derailed and people were evacuated, taken by bus to Chicago, and everything is fine, but there's some strange anomalies with that as well. Like, if the train was missing, then how come there's no reports of people saying, hey, our family members are missing? And on the flip side, people being rescued, how come there's no videos popping up anywhere of this light train derailment? Nothing. And what was really weird is we had one of the workers for the train going through the train depot telling everyone there's a train missing, a train head went by, didn't see them, blah, blah, blah. I mean, just some strangeness. We've also heard about all this volcanic activity, landslides. There was that one, I believe Silky, I forget her whole channel name. She covered it extensively, and she covers a lot of these natural events, how this landslide just buried a whole village. And there's been others as well. Volcanoes, earthquakes, everything just all over the place. Are these things happening more now? Perhaps. Perhaps we're just hearing about it more now. We don't know. None of us were far back in history to actually know anything, but I digress. So we have a lot of these kind of strange things happening all around the world simultaneously. Wars picking up, and where people would, for even years, side with one side of the war, have flipped to go against the side they were once supporting. We've seen that happen this past year. And there's wars going on, at least several that I can think of, where this has happened. And perhaps this has to do with information being released, coming out, the internet. And speaking of the internet, we're starting to learn how this AI, which really picked up this past year, is lying to people on every single topic. And it's really interesting how people will even acknowledge that, yeah, AI can't trust it, everything else, until it supports something that they want. And they say, oh, look, AI is saying this. And we have a big rise now with this AI generating videos and everything else, from commercials to fake videos. And some of these videos are so crazy, but people are thinking, oh, this is real, and sharing it and posting it. So we've seen this happen this past year a lot. We've seen, for example, some whistleblowers come out, for example, with Campbell soup. I believe the gentleman was former, what was he? Not the CEO, but somewhere around those ranks, coming out and saying he wouldn't eat that soup, he wouldn't let his family eat that soup because of XYZ. And basically spilling the beans, perhaps no pun intended, because some of the soups do have beans in it, but I digress, on this whole narrative, this whole thing. And there's been a few other whistleblowers coming out. We've seen the fall of what I used to call online influencers, or online celebrities, sorry, influencers today. There's that one guy who was electrocuting his dog, a big famous channel, electrocuting his dog. And his demise. You've seen the demise of other people by their own doing, nonetheless. We've also seen the influencer of Charlie Kirk fall, literally. And so much controversy and talk and everything else about that whole thing, and his corporations like Turning Point USA, and there's 3 other divisions of that, and people trying to figure out, is he still alive? Was it staged? How did it happen? It's real. Where did it come? Where did the projectile come from? Everything. And it's all these things is like a reality TV show playing out in reality online. And people are just buying into it. And there are people profiting from it, like these bigger channels. They're making money talking about it because people are watching it, because people like to spend hours and days speculating and not even having all the information. So we've seen that type of thing happen. We've also now seen this past year the rise of new influencers. These people are just kind of popping up, some of them out of nowhere. Maybe they've been doing content for some time, but really all of a sudden, boom. And some of these people I've mentioned, this past year even, or the year before, because people will be sharing and asking me, well, what do you think of this person? And one that comes to mind is Tatiana, Truth Seeker, whatever. This is no diss against her. I don't know who she is, or never talked to her. But all of a sudden now, she's on the Alex Jones show and she's all pumped up about it. Now, I've shared in at least a few videos, older ones, where in 2011 I was approached twice, once online and once in person in a darkened parking lot, nonetheless, about becoming what we call now today an influencer. I remember saying, hey, no one knows who I am, no one's watching my content. They said, no, we'll take care of all that. So they do approach people directly, and if this person I just mentioned, if she hasn't been approached directly, she's definitely being groomed, wooed into being the next influencer. Now, I did state, going back to myself for a sec, I turned it down in 2011 both times. The first time, something to do with being, what was it, like a spiritual guru or something. I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested in that, totally not interested. The other time, I said, well, what do I talk about? And they said, whatever you want, and then there was a but. And I said, nah, no thank you. Because really, my goal has always been trying to help the commoner. And here's the thing that people miss. These influencers that people talk about and praise even and support are the ones that are sanctioned. They're the ones that are wanted to be talked about, supported, and everything else. And no one asks, like, well, if these people are so controversial and everything else, then how is it that they're allowed to be heard? When they're the real people who have sacrificed everything, literally, that no one heard about or cares about because they haven't been programmed to. And that's something key there. So we've seen a lot of this type of thing happening this past year. All sorts of stuff going on. And we've even seen mainstream, even more now in 2025, shift over these mainstream celebrities from different news agencies and stuff going into alternative media. And I've said for a long time, for years, that alternative media is a new mainstream media. And truthers and freedom types especially, they don't get it. There's flavors of Kool-Aid for everyone on all sides. But what I really want to, and it all ties in to what I want to talk about here, which is the cycles of civilizations and the pattern within, the literal 100-year patterns within. How does this all tie together? Because stages are being set. Say, for example, throughout 2025, with the rise and fall of these influencers and everything else. Now, some of these influencers, again, did it to themselves, but I'm talking about specifically thinking about the one that had someone taken from life. And I'm not questioning if it happened or not. That's not the point. But a stage is being set to fulfill the next part of this pattern. And we even see people discussing, these influencers discussing, for example, you know, oh, we're going to be coming into a recession. We are already in the middle of a silent depression. I've talked about this. But they're not saying these things. They're pretty much sugarcoating and telling people what they want to hear. And that's the big difference between, for example, what I say and what all these other people say is, I don't tell people what they want to hear. I just state the facts with evidence. regardless if it's my efforts or what's happening in the world. And this is based on people talking with me and even saying, hey, can you do a video about this? Sure. So a stage is being set for the next part of the pattern. Now, over the past 5 years, I've had people, and I've mentioned this in at least one video, people saying, well, what began in 2020, what comes after that? I say, a Great Depression. What comes after that is World War. What comes after that? Prosperity. Well, what comes after that? Well, we start going on the decline again. It's a pattern. And knowing this pattern, I've said repeatedly, is key to survive. You're not stopping anything. And people who have generational commitment and monopoly on violence they're successful. They've always been successful. Not the commoner. But they allow the commoner to have false hope and false perceptions on their successes, like with the so-called convoy of freedom and the fake heroes within that. And this segues into another event that took place in 2025, is this whole ostrich farm. Oh yes, let's not forget the ostriches who became martyrs, and that Katie, I forget her last name, doesn't matter, how she now has become a whole new influencer, a hero of some sort for some reason, going on these talk tours and everything else. She secured herself pretty good. And the whole thing, again, was another psyop. Now I'm just going to interject here for a moment. How can the so-called convoy and the ostriches be a psyop? To vilify Canada. And it has nothing to do with politics. It's about vilifying the nation and the people. And this leads into Canada being disassembled from within. And you can figure that out on your own. So, the ostrich farm, and we have the rise of another superstar influencer for some strange reason. But there's an example about all this. And why is this all important? Because after the events that began in 2020, we're now in a silent depression. And this is after this is going to be World War. All you have to do, it's no secret, is look at the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, and onward. That's it. There's one way that you can figure it out on your own. But what people are really afraid of is the unknown, and moreover, is the time before a new equilibrium is established. And people are trying to hang on to their perceived comforts and luxuries. And there are people who are willing to sacrifice what little bit of the descriptive freedoms that they think they have for more to be imposed, and they are the majority of the people. And just as much as one side, for example, truth and freedom types, will point the finger and say, hey, they drank the Kool-Aid, they drank another flavor of Kool-Aid. And there's a sliver in the middle, I keep saying, they're looking at all sides going, wow, you guys are all messed up. I'm being polite with my words. So 2025, we really observed the acceleration of a stage being set. And ultimately, we're going to be observing a great reset, but not the type of great reset that, for example, politicians have mentioned, and Truther and Freedom Types mentioned, there is a great reset coming that almost sounds crazy to even start talking about, but there's truth to it. And before people start choosing the next influencer that they're going to follow, they need to be asking, well, what is this influencer really contributing? Are they contributing any personal first-hand insight on anything? Or are they simply reading stuff online, regurgitating stuff, creating an echo chamber, and having a following of people because these people are not only consumed by that type of content, that negativity, but they're addicted to it? Because if you think about somebody who has an addiction, somebody who's trying to offer them to break that addiction, say a cure or something, like a drug, they will resist them. And that's the same type of thing here, except it's all psychological stuff. And it's very interesting when you read the comment section and people saying, oh no, they're wide awake and they'll never fall for anything. And as even the psyop expert Chase Hughes says, he could be psyoped, and anyone who thinks that they can't be basically are the weakest ones in the room. I'm kind of paraphrasing his statement there. So 2025 had a lot of things going on quickly. The rise of AI to the now where people are questioning AI and finding it untrustworthy. It's a tool that's being or using to be manipulate people falling in love with AI. Oh, that just that just blows my mind to think about people actually falling in love and wanting to marry AI. What, like, I mean, the world's getting crazier. The old saying about the inmates are running the insane asylum is so true, so true. And most people can't even see that they're part of it. Now, I'm going to just kind of wrap this up a little bit, because in my own personal life, a lot has happened in 2025 where I've had, I've been dealing with my historic health issues, and then the health issues that really began in 2022, and then this year, some real woozy ones coming up. Two major surgeries coming up. And trying to cope with this winter, being cold. My priority is always fuel to keep warm, which also runs my vehicle, but moreover my auxiliary heater. Wanting to keep fed, still eating food destined for the trash. I'm supposed to be have a good healthy diet, no stress, everything else. I'm just trying to survive. And I can't believe it's been so long that I've been living in my vehicle. 10 years. With some reprieve over the years, but pretty much living out of my vehicle. And if anyone's ever wondering, thinking, oh, I'm trying to be cool recording my vehicle, because as I mentioned in a video this year, how there seems to be a trend with people recording themselves in their vehicle like it's something cool. No, my vehicle is my home. It's my recording studio. Why there's other people do it is beyond me. see them, they have homes and stuff. They have other options. I don't. So, as 2026 rolls in, I'm surviving, trying to get basic needs, pay the few bills that I have, and I watch the world go by. And I'm not doing content looking for fame or fortune like some of these people are. I guess I'm still, in part, trying to help people, the commoner, and offer information with evidence of things that I know firsthand, offering firsthand insight into things. Also to feel productive, like I'm doing something. So, you know, I'm not just being lazy. I'm a workaholic by nature. And if I had it my way, nothing more would I like than just to, for example, get off grid and let the world do whatever it's going to do, and just live out the rest of my days for however long I have left. For anyone who's been following my story, I don't know how long I have left, because my health is just not doing that great, and things seem to be piling up. But I don't want to end off on a negative, sad note. Aside from all the craziness that took place in 2025, there are some great things that have happened in 2025 in your own personal life, and I want you to take the time when you're done watching this video to reflect back on the good things that happened in your life. It could be something as small as a moment with an insect to something grand. Everyone has their ups and downs, but take the time to find the good things. And there are also good things that have happened in the world. And if you want, do share those times in the comment section below. Be very uplifting for everyone, rather than just focus on the negativity and all this other nonsense. I'll leave that to you to put in the comment section. And that's really all I wanted to talk about. Just recap 2025, segue into the cycles of civilization and the literal 100-year patterns within, tie it all in together, that the stage is being set. And if you're wondering about 2026, figure out the patterns and you'll know. I'm wishing everyone a happy holidays and a happy new year, and all the best, and make it a good year for yourself and those in your life. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
The fastest way to engineer behavior in a country is to destabilize the nation. And the fastest way to destabilize a nation is make people stop trusting their neighbors. Stop trusting people that are within an arm's reach that could help you during an emergency. Number one. And the second train of thought is, if I want to obfuscate and hide my actions as one of these weirdo elites who's kind of controlling everything, I want you fighting sideways, never upward. And look at our country right now. Everyone's fighting sideways instead of up. So I get you to fight sideways. You'll never look up. You'll never see me standing there kind of pulling all these strings, because I'm getting you to fight wars that are horizontal instead of vertical.
There's truth and there's untruth. But if you stick to the truth, even against the whole world, you're still not mad.
Just remember, I was one man against many. Fighting a losing battle, but I still fought to the end.
That means press on. That means endure. That means God cannot fail, and you're not going to give up. That's not an option for a child of God. This means you are going to be remembered. Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people say to me, when is it going to get easier? When you die.